Seniors, stop right there. Here are 9 foods you should never refrigerate, and why. What if I told you your refrigerator might be silently harming your health every single day? Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But hidden inside that cold box are 9 everyday foods that actually react negatively to refrigeration, in ways most seniors have never been told. And this isn't just about flavor or texture. It's about dangerous chemical changes, loss of vital nutrients, and even harmful bacterial growth, all triggered by cold storage. Here's the truly concerning part. Over 99% of people over 60 still refrigerate these foods, without realizing the damage it could be doing to their gut, heart, and even brain health. Some experts now believe that our modern obsession with refrigeration is quietly contributing to the rise of chronic illnesses in older adults. But today, we're uncovering the real science. In this video, you'll learn the 9 foods you should never refrigerate, and exactly how to store them safely instead. And wait until you hear about number 2 on the list, it might shock you the most. Every single point we share is backed by peer-reviewed scientific research. And we've included links to all the studies right in the description below, so you can check the facts for yourself. Before we begin, tell us in the comments below. Where are you watching from? How old are you? Have you noticed certain foods tasting strange or looking odd after being in the fridge? We're reading and replying to every single comment with personalized tips and advice, so don't hesitate to share. And of course, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more senior-focused health insights every week. Alright, let's get started. Number 9, potatoes. This one might surprise you, but when you store potatoes in the refrigerator, you're actually creating a toxic compound. Here's why. Cold temperatures trigger the starches in potatoes to convert into sugars, through a process called cold-induced sweetening. Now this isn't just about changing the taste. Here's the real danger. When you later cook those refrigerated potatoes at high temperatures, like baking or frying, those excess sugars react with amino acids to form acrylamide. Why does that matter? The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. And the numbers don't lie. A study from the University of Idaho found that potatoes stored in refrigerator temperatures showed a 300% increase in sugar content within just 2 weeks. So the next time you buy potatoes, keep them in a cool, dark place, but not the fridge. Your body, and your health, will thank you. That's 3 times the sugar, and it happens faster than you might think. In fact, researchers tested over 500 potato samples, and the results were consistent across all types. And it's not just the sugar content, the texture changes too. Cold temperatures break down the potato cell structure, leaving them gritty, mealy, and unpleasantly sweet. Ever wonder why your mashed potatoes sometimes taste a little off? Now you know, your refrigerator is destroying them at a cellular level. So what's the right way to store potatoes? Keep them in a cool, dark place, ideally between 45 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A pantry, cellar, or even a cardboard box tucked away in a closet works perfectly. And here's the key, darkness matters. When exposed to light, potatoes produce solanine, that greenish tinge you sometimes see on the skin. Solanine is toxic to humans in large amounts. For best results, store your potatoes in a paper bag or a basket that allows air to circulate. Never use plastic bags, they trap moisture and cause your potatoes to rot. Here's a pro tip most people don't know. Keep your potatoes away from onions. Why? Both vegetables release natural gases that make the other spoil faster. Ideally, store them at least 3 feet apart. With proper storage, your potatoes can last up to 3 months. But in the fridge? They'll be ruined in just 2 weeks. Number 8, bread. This one surprises almost everyone. Did you know your refrigerator is actually making your bread go stale faster? It may sound backwards, but the science is clear. Refrigeration speeds up a process called starch retrogradation. That's just a fancy way of saying the starch molecules in bread start to crystallize, pushing moisture out. The result? Dry, crumbly bread that tastes days older than it really is. Researchers at the Institute of Food Technologists discovered something remarkable. Bread stored in the refrigerator stale 6 times faster than bread kept at room temperature. 6 times. In their study, they measured the firmness of bread crumbs over time. The results? Refrigerated bread turned hard and crumbly in just 3 days, while bread stored at room temperature stayed soft and fresh for a full week. And it's not just the texture. Cold temperatures also destroy the natural flavor compounds in bread, those delicate volatile organic compounds that give fresh bread its irresistible aroma. They break down quickly in the cold. So when your refrigerated bread starts tasting like cardboard, it's not your imagination. The best way to store bread? Keep it at room temperature, in a bread box or a paper bag. The container should allow just enough air circulation to prevent mold, while maintaining enough humidity to keep the bread soft. If you can't finish a loaf within a week, here's the trick: slice it first, then freeze it. Freezing preserves bread better than refrigeration because it happens so quickly that ice crystals don't have time to damage the structure. When you need bread, simply pop the frozen slices straight into your toaster. They'll taste almost as good as fresh. The key is going directly from freezer to toaster. Don't let them thaw on the counter, because that's when moisture problems start. Number 7. Honey. Honey is perhaps nature's most perfect food. Believe it or not, it literally never spoils. Archaeologists have even found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs, still edible. But here's the mistake: put honey in your refrigerator, and you'll ruin it in weeks. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize much faster. While crystallized honey isn't dangerous, it completely changes its texture, turning that smooth, golden liquid into a grainy, hard mass that won't dissolve properly. But that's not all. Every time you open a cold jar of honey, condensation forms inside. And moisture is honey's worst enemy. A study from the National Honey Board found that honey stored below 50 degrees Fahrenheit can lose up to 35% of its antimicrobial properties. Those are the natural compounds that give honey its reputation as a natural antibiotic, the same properties ancient civilizations used to treat wounds. Your refrigerator is quietly destroying those benefits. And the flavor suffers, too. Honey contains over 180 different compounds that create its unique, complex taste. Cold storage breaks those compounds down unevenly, and your expensive, raw honey ends up tasting more like cheap syrup. The best way to store honey? Keep it at room temperature in a tightly sealed container, ideally between 64 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And keep it away from direct sunlight, which can also degrade its quality. If your honey does crystallize, don't throw it out. Just place the jar in warm water and stir gently. It'll return to its smooth, liquid form, without losing its natural benefits. Here's something most people don't know. The color of your honey reveals its antioxidant power. Darker honey actually contains more antioxidants than lighter honey, making it even healthier. But here's the catch: refrigeration affects dark honey even more severely than light honey. Those precious antioxidants are particularly vulnerable to cold temperatures, breaking down faster and losing their health benefits. So if you've invested in a beautiful, dark, raw honey, treat it right. Keep it at room temperature to protect its natural goodness. Number 6. Coffee. Coffee lovers, brace yourselves. That expensive coffee you've been storing in the refrigerator? You're quietly destroying it. Here's why: your refrigerator is coffee's worst enemy. Coffee beans are incredibly porous. They absorb odors and flavors from everything around them, and your fridge is full of smells: leftover Chinese food, that forgotten slice of cheese, last night's garlic sauce. Your coffee soaks it all up like a sponge. Ever wonder why your morning brew sometimes tastes off? Now you know. But odor absorption is just the beginning. The constant temperature changes in your refrigerator create condensation on the beans. That moisture triggers premature aging and can even lead to mold growth. A study from the Specialty Coffee Association found that refrigerated coffee beans lose 60% of their aromatic compounds within just 1 week. And here's another problem: the oils in coffee beans, which carry most of the flavor, solidify when cold. So when you grind those cold beans, the oils don't extract properly during brewing. The result? Weak, flat, flavorless coffee. Here's the right way to store your coffee: keep it at room temperature in an airtight, opaque container. Why opaque? Because light damages coffee quality, too. The ideal storage temperature is between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, with minimal temperature swings. A few more tips. Buy coffee in small quantities you can finish within 2 weeks. Once you open the bag, the clock starts ticking, because oxygen is coffee's other biggest enemy. Some enthusiasts use vacuum-sealed containers, but honestly, just buying fresh and using it promptly works even better. If you absolutely must store coffee long-term, the freezer is actually better than the refrigerator, but there's a catch. You can only freeze it once. Here's how: divide your coffee into weekly portions, seal them in airtight bags, and freeze. Only take out what you need, and never refreeze coffee. The moisture damage from repeated freezing and thawing is irreversible. So treat your coffee with care, and it'll reward you every morning with the rich, full flavor you deserve. Researchers at the Institute of Food Technologists uncovered something remarkable: bread stored in the refrigerator stale 6 times faster than bread kept at room temperature. 6 times. In their study, they measured the firmness of bread crumbs over time. The results were clear: bread kept in the fridge became hard and crumbly in just 3 days, while bread stored at room temperature stayed soft and fresh for a full week. And it's not just about texture. Cold temperatures also destroy the delicate flavor compounds in bread, the ones responsible for that wonderful, fresh-baked aroma. These volatile compounds break down quickly in the cold. So when your refrigerated bread starts tasting bland and cardboard-like, it's not your imagination. So what's the best way to store bread? Keep it at room temperature, in a bread box or a paper bag. The container should allow just enough air circulation to prevent mold, while still keeping the bread soft. And if you know you won't finish the loaf within a week, here's a smart trick: slice it first, then freeze it. Freezing preserves bread far better than refrigeration, because it happens so quickly that ice crystals don't have time to damage the bread structure. When you're ready for a slice, just pop it straight from the freezer into your toaster. It will taste almost as good as fresh. The key here is don't let it thaw on the counter. That's when moisture problems start. Number 7. Honey. Honey might just be nature's most perfect food. Believe it or not, it literally never spoils. In fact, archaeologists have discovered 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs, still edible. But here's the mistake many people make: putting honey in the refrigerator. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize much faster. While crystallized honey is still safe to eat, it completely changes the texture, turning that smooth, golden liquid into a grainy, hard mass that won't dissolve properly. And it gets worse. Every time you open a cold jar of honey, condensation forms inside, introducing moisture. And moisture is honey's greatest enemy. A study from the National Honey Board found that honey stored below 50 degrees Fahrenheit can lose up to 35% of its antimicrobial properties. Those are the very compounds that give honey its famous natural antibiotic powers, the same properties ancient civilizations relied on to heal wounds. Your refrigerator quietly destroys those benefits. And the flavor suffers too. Honey contains over 180 different compounds that give it its unique, complex taste. Cold storage breaks those compounds down unevenly, leaving your expensive, raw honey tasting more like cheap syrup. The best way to store honey? Keep it at room temperature, in a tightly sealed jar, ideally between 64 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And keep it out of direct sunlight, which can also degrade its quality. If your honey does crystallize, don't toss it out. Just place the jar in warm water and stir gently. It'll return to its smooth, golden form, without losing its health benefits. And here's something most people don't know. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic in the refrigerator is a disaster waiting to happen. Not only does it lose its health-boosting potency, but it can actually become dangerous. Here's why this matters, especially for seniors who rely on garlic's many health benefits. When garlic is stored in the refrigerator, it begins to sprout. Those little green shoots aren't just unsightly, they're bitter, and they can cause digestive upset. But that's not even the worst part. The moist, cold environment of your refrigerator can trigger mold growth on garlic. Some of these molds produce mycotoxins, harmful compounds that you definitely don't want to consume. And you're also losing what makes garlic so powerful. Research from the University of California, Davis showed that refrigerated garlic loses 50% of its allicin content within just 10 days. Allicin is the magic compound that gives garlic its antibacterial, antiviral, and heart protective qualities. By refrigerating garlic, you're literally throwing away half of its benefits. And the texture? Cold temperatures break down garlic cell walls, making it mushy and hard to chop. Ever try to mince refrigerated garlic? It just turns into a sticky paste. Here's how to store garlic properly. Keep it in a cool, dry place with good air circulation. A mesh bag or basket works perfectly. Ideal temperature? Around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Never store garlic in plastic or a sealed container, it needs to breathe. Keep it away from direct sunlight, which makes it bitter, and away from your stove, where heat and humidity make it sprout faster. When stored properly, a whole head of garlic can last up to 6 months. Once you break it open, use the individual cloves within 10 days for best quality. Here's a tip that can change your cooking. Room temperature garlic releases its flavor more readily than cold garlic. Those essential oils need to stay fluid, not hardened by cold. Properly stored garlic will make your dishes taste noticeably better. Number 4. Bananas. Bananas and refrigerators are a match made in disaster. Put a banana in the fridge, and it quickly turns into a black, mushy mess. But the damage goes far beyond just appearance. Cold temperatures cause what scientists call chilling injury. Bananas are tropical fruits. In their natural habitat, they never experience cold. Their cells quite literally can't handle it. Here's what happens: the cold ruptures the cell membranes, enzymes leak out, and the fruit starts breaking down from the inside out. A study from the Queensland Department of Agriculture found that bananas stored below 56 degrees Fahrenheit lose up to 80% of their vitamin C content within just 5 days. And that's not all. Bananas normally keep producing beneficial compounds as they ripen. Refrigeration stops this process completely. That black skin isn't just ugly, it's a sign the fruit's natural defenses have failed. Those brown spots are dead tissue, and even if you can't see it yet, dead tissue can harbor bacteria and mold. So how do you store bananas properly? Keep them at room temperature, ideally between 56 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hang them on a banana hook to prevent bruising. Let the ethylene gas they produce circulate around them. That's what helps them ripen properly. And here's a trick supermarkets don't want you to know. Did you know you can actually control how fast bananas ripen? If you want them to ripen faster, simply put your bananas in a paper bag with an apple. The apple gives off extra ethylene gas, which speeds up the ripening process naturally. If you'd rather slow things down, here's a trick: separate the bunch and wrap each banana stem in plastic wrap. This reduces the release of ethylene gas by up to 40%. And once your bananas are perfectly ripe, you can pop them in the refrigerator, but only for 1 or 2 days at most. The skin will darken, but the inside stays good. Better yet, peel and freeze your bananas for smoothies. Frozen bananas actually make better smoothies than fresh ones because they blend into a creamy, rich texture without needing ice. Number 3. Onions. Onions in the refrigerator might just be the biggest storage mistake people make. The damage is immediate and irreversible. Here's what happens the moment you close that refrigerator door. The humidity inside your fridge is usually around 95%. But onions need a much drier environment, 65% humidity or less. That excess moisture seeps into the onion's papery outer layers, creating the perfect breeding ground for mold. And that's not just unpleasant, it can be dangerous. Black mold on onions produces aflatoxins, some of the most carcinogenic substances known to science. But even before mold appears, the cold temperature begins converting the onion's starches into sugars. A study from Texas University found that refrigerated onions had a 270% increase in sugar content after just 2 weeks. That completely changes their flavor and the way they cook. Your French onion soup could end up tasting more like dessert. And the texture suffers, too. Ice crystals form inside the onion cells, rupturing them and making the flesh soft and mushy. Once that happens, the onion won't caramelize properly. Those beautiful golden brown onions you see at restaurants? Impossible with refrigerated onions. Here's the right way to store onions. Keep whole onions in a cool, dry, well-ventilated space. A pantry or cellar is ideal. Keep the temperature between 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And never store onions in plastic bags, they trap moisture and accelerate spoilage. When you store them properly, your onions will keep their flavor, texture, and all their healthy benefits intact. Onions need to breathe, it's as simple as that. The best way to store them is in a mesh bag, a basket, or even an old pair of clean pantyhose. Yes, it really works. And here's an important reminder: keep onions away from potatoes. We mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Both release natural gases that cause each other to spoil much faster. Also, keep onions out of direct sunlight, it triggers sprouting. Now, once you cut an onion, everything changes. That freshly cut surface is vulnerable to bacteria, so refrigeration becomes necessary at that point. Store cut onions in an airtight container in your fridge, and use them within 7 days. But whole onions? Never in the fridge. Number 2, tomatoes. And now, we've reached the food that shocks most people the most: tomatoes. The truth about refrigerating tomatoes is so surprising that some people refuse to believe it. But the science is undeniable. Researchers at the University of Florida made a groundbreaking discovery. Refrigeration doesn't just affect the texture and taste of tomatoes, it actually turns off their genes. Specifically, the genes responsible for producing the compounds that give tomatoes their vibrant flavor. Once those genes shut down, they never fully recover, even if you take the tomato out of the fridge and let it warm up. The damage is permanent. In the study, scientists examined over 25,000 tomato genes and found that temperatures below 54 degrees Fahrenheit deactivated hundreds of them. At the genetic level, the tomato stops being a tomato. It becomes nothing more than a red, watery balloon, stripped of flavor and much of its nutritional value. And here's where it gets serious, especially for seniors. Tomatoes are one of the best natural sources of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect against heart disease and certain cancers. Cold storage doesn't just reduce lycopene by up to 65%, it also destroys the enzymes your body needs to absorb what little lycopene remains. So even the remaining 35% becomes practically useless. And the texture? If you've ever wondered why refrigerated tomatoes turn mealy and grainy, here's the reason. Under a microscope, you can see ice crystals forming between the cell walls, creating tiny punctures throughout the fruit. The cellular structure has been shredded from the inside. So here's what to do instead: store your tomatoes at room temperature, stem side down. This keeps them fresher longer, preserves their nutrients, and keeps that beautiful, juicy texture intact. Storing your tomatoes properly even helps protect them from bacteria. Turning them stem side down prevents moisture and bacteria from entering through the scar left by the stem. The ideal temperature for tomatoes is between 55 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep them out of direct sunlight, which can overheat and degrade them, but don't hide them away in a dark cabinet either. Tomatoes need gentle, indirect light to maintain their nutrients. And never store tomatoes in plastic bags. Why? Because they naturally release ethylene gas, which accelerates ripening. If that gas gets trapped in a sealed bag, it actually rots the tomato much faster. In fact, one spoiled tomato in a plastic bag can ruin an entire batch in just 24 hours. Here's a smart tip: ripe tomatoes should be used within 3 to 5 days. If you've got too many at once, don't let them go to waste, make a sauce and freeze it. And here's the bonus: cooked tomato products actually have more available lycopene than raw ones. And freezing preserves it beautifully. Number 1. Avocados. We've saved the most important, and perhaps the most heartbreaking, for last: avocados. What happens to avocados in the refrigerator should almost be considered criminal. The destruction is so complete, so devastating, it makes all the other foods on this list look like minor mistakes. Avocados are nutritional powerhouses, packed with over 20 essential nutrients. They're one of the only fruits that provide healthy fats, specifically oleic acid, which is crucial for brain health as we age. But refrigeration destroys these healthy fats through a process called lipid peroxidation. Cold temperatures cause the fats to oxidize rapidly, creating harmful free radicals instead of beneficial nutrients. Researchers at Stanford University found that refrigerated avocados lose 90% of their antioxidant activity within just 4 days. That's devastating because those antioxidants, including vitamins E and C, are exactly what make avocados so valuable for seniors. They fight inflammation, protect your eyes, and even help your body absorb nutrients from other foods. But here's the truly shocking part: cold temperatures don't just stop ripening, they actually trigger an enzyme that destroys the fruit from within. This enzyme, polyphenol oxidase, is the same one responsible for browning. But in the cold, it goes into overdrive, breaking down cell walls and turning healthy compounds into bitter, even harmful substances. And the texture? Completely ruined. Those smooth, creamy avocados you love turn into stringy, watery disappointments. The fats separate from the fiber, leaving an oily, unappetizing mess that won't mash properly. Your guacamole is doomed before you even start. Here's how to store avocados the right way. Keep unripe avocados at room temperature, ideally between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Place them in a bowl on your counter, not in a closed bag. They need air circulation to ripen evenly. If you need to speed ripening, place them in a paper bag with a banana. The banana's ethylene gas can cut ripening time in half. Once ripe, you can refrigerate avocados if absolutely necessary, but only for 2 to 3 days. Even then, expect some loss of quality. A smarter strategy? Buy avocados at different stages of ripeness so you always have one ready to enjoy. And if you've cut an avocado but can't finish it all, here's the secret. Here's the secret to keeping a cut avocado fresh. Leave the pit in the unused half, it helps slow oxidation. Brush the exposed flesh lightly with lemon juice to prevent browning. Then store it in an airtight container with a small piece of onion. The sulfur compounds in the onion prevent browning, without altering the flavor of your avocado. This simple method keeps cut avocados fresh for up to 2 days at room temperature. And the difference between a properly stored avocado and a refrigerated one? Like night and day. Proper storage preserves those brain-boosting fats, maintains the creamy, luscious texture you love, and keeps all those age-fighting nutrients intact. Your body will thank you. At the end of the day, the truth about refrigeration has been hidden for too long. These 9 foods represent more than just thousands of dollars in wasted groceries. They represent missed opportunities to nourish yourself and stay healthy in your golden years. Every nutrient counts when you're fighting aging, maintaining your memory and focus, and staying strong and independent. Don't let your refrigerator quietly sabotage your efforts. Store these foods properly, and reclaim their full nutritional power. Your body deserves nothing less than the best. And now you know how to give it just that. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which of these foods shocked you the most? Have you been refrigerating it for years without realizing the damage? Share your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love hearing from you and responding with helpful tips. And as always, thank you for watching and taking steps to care for your health every single day.